FirstCoast.tv. We find ourselves out in the region of World Golf Village, out in a neighborhood called Glenmoor, and there's an obelisk out there, and I'm with
Beth Cornelius.
Okay, I see that obelisk back there. We're going to go see it shortly. What can you tell me about this event here today?
That obelisk was painted by Jeff Whipple, one of the artists with the Obelisk Art 450 project, and it has been donated to Glenmoor by Claudia Gordon, who is one of our sponsors. Glenmoor was also one of our legacy sponsors, so we're very excited to have it here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I heard the artist will be here too for the event.
Yes, he's running a little bit behind because of traffic, but that's great. He comes from Jacksonville, Florida. He is a professional artist, recently moved to Jacksonville, and he's won many public art awards,
Well, thank you, Beth, and we'll follow this ceremony through.
Thank you.
Our initial goal when we came together was to attempt to get the City Commission and the City of St. Augustine to become a compassionate city by the year 2015, the 450th anniversary. And we finally concluded that we really should do a public art project. And it should be based on the monument that's located in the plaza right outside of the cathedral. And that monument is a testimony to the Constitution of 1812, the Spanish Constitution of 1812. The four values of that Constitution were freedom, democracy, human rights, and compassion. We take this 30-foot obelisk down to 8.5 feet, and we decided on 25 of them. Two good fortunes came to us. One is we didn't know what we were doing. That was one. And secondly, we looked for somebody who did, and we could not have been more fortunate. Beth Cornelius has been our curator for the last roughly 18-20 months. And without her help and her expertise, we would still be working on OA 450. It probably would have become 451. We wouldn't be finished with her. She was sort of fresh off of putting together all of the artwork at the airport, Jacksonville Airport. She's responsible for that. That's the kind of person we've had who helped us with this. So I now want to turn this over to Beth so that she can tell you a little bit about the process of how we got where we are today, and then she will end up introducing our guest of honor.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. It's so nice, and thank you for Jeff Whipple for being here, and also Liz Gibson over there. She's one of the Obelisk Art 450 artists also. But I started at the end of 2014, and I had no idea what Compassionate St. Augustine was. I didn't know anybody involved with it. They just kind of heard from different people that I was a good person to call, and they did, and I was looking for something kind of lighthearted and really involved and in the arts, and so there they were, and so we joined forces and moved forward, and I did a classic call to artists because we really wanted for this project a group of professional artists, and I knew that we wouldn't get one professional artist unless we had all of them be. Jeff is one of the artists that I think is probably one of the best among all of them. His resume is extensive. He has won awards internationally across the U.S., and more recently he won the award. The airport won this twice. It's the Americans for the Arts Public Art Year in Review. It's recognized. I mean, he is a phenomenal painter, and he does work for private collectors, for companies, and for large civic organizations like the New Orleans Public Art District, or Library District, I believe it was. Once we got all the artists together, they then had to come out and pick up these obelisks, bring them home to their studio, create them, and then we put them back out into the street and installed them throughout St. Augustine. It's been an incredible process. Compassionate St. Augustine and Jim especially, they're fantastic to work with. I've really loved getting to know them all. And St. Augustine is an incredible community. I'm sure you all know that. And I hope that you were all able to get out there and see the obelisk. And I'll let him tell you more about his work. And thank you very much for coming.
This is a great celebration. I'm so glad to see you all here, and I'm glad to be part of this. This is a very unusual, unexpected result out of this whole obelisk project. I don't know if you're aware that it was a competition. It was artists who submitted their work to be reviewed, to be considered, and be accepted into this competition. And my lovely partner, artist, great talented woman, Liz Gibson, and I both applied for this. And we don't always have the opportunity to apply for the same thing. So when we both got accepted to that, it was an honor to be accepted anyway, but it was actually very special for us to both have. It was also a fun challenge to create something that would relate to the themes of the project and the overall thing. In my initial consideration for this piece was, for one thing, I wanted it to relate to my body of work that goes back 35 years, and I wanted to have something that related to what I normally do, but I also wanted to expand and create something that related to the theme. And so when you look at this thing and you wonder, well, where did this stuff come from? Well, it did come from someplace. It took a long time for this stuff to develop, and it is kind of weird, I know, it's kind of fun. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that ultimately you look at it every day and see something new. My thinking on the development of the ideas was just to talk about using animals, speaking animals. You've seen that, which is kind of silly. It's actually unusual in my artwork, but the idea that they're saying the things that maybe we should all say to each other. Stuff is pretty obvious. We learn these things in kindergarten, and I think that maybe these animals, from their perspective, can say these things and give us a humorous viewpoint on it. The one thing that is always a question in my artwork that people always ask about is the 3 marks. And I even have it on my hat here. It's become a logo in my work, and it is a design element initially that started in the early 1980s. It's ancient right now, but in terms of my career. But I initially began using 3 marks in the backgrounds of my designs because I wanted something that looked like it was purposeful. And I didn't want just scribbles in the background. There's reasons for that, but I wanted the background designs to look like they were part of the design and intentional. And if you all knew, abstract art, it can be very automatic. It can be not that way. So I created the 3 marks and repeated them throughout the backgrounds and throughout my artwork to be something like, like a drum beat in the song, like percussion. So there was purpose for the background. I used 3 marks instead of 2 or instead of 6 because 2 things might be a coincidence, but 3 things are definitely a pattern. So there's a function to it. There's a purpose for it, and that's why it is. And it's after that, it's in all my artwork if you've seen mine. But I eventually made it into a symbol for life, and that is relatively recent. In 2006, I had a commission to make a huge public art piece that I designed to represent life and lifetimes and all kinds of things. And I was looking for a symbol for that, and I already have it, my 3 marks. So I eventually, I worked that into the symbol of that. But the work I've done since then has the 3 marks as a symbol for life. And so when you look at the composition of the obelisk and you see the spiral entwined with those 3 marks in the larger part in the base of the composition, you'll go, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Well, it doesn't, and it shouldn't. No one should look at that and see, oh, that means something to me. It should, I hope you think that it means something, but you won't know what it is until I tell you. And the reason that particular part of the composition has the spiral, for me, one of my other symbols is that a spiral represents time. Like I've always done, this is something that's just been in my mind. I see a calendar year as a spiral, like, from December to January, it's another level up, and then it goes up and up like that. And I've always seen time that way. And so I use that as a symbol for time, but it's also just so many things, it's galaxies are spirals, or so many things, whirlpools, everything's a spiral. And see, if you look at that obelisk next time you're out there, and I hope you all live here, so you're all going to be seeing it again and again, but I hope that you see that the life symbol spiral bound thing goes into the next section, and it's bound with another one. And that's a reference to the compassion that we all have for each other. And I was trying to express the idea that we are all in this bound together by lifetime. I hope that you enjoy this piece as it goes along. I'm honored and grateful for Claudia to have the thoughtfulness to make this its final poem, and I hope that you appreciate it. Thank you.